it's feeling a bit grim this Christmas. Has the Chancellor stolen it? There are claims that her budget, in fact what she said before the budget really, has kept us shoppers off the high street.
£30 billion tax rise, that's what it was. Recent figures suggest that consumers are being cautious now with their spending.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it? Because it just makes everything worse for the high street, which is already struggling. Political commentator Andy Williams.
Good day to you all and welcome back to the British Report. If you thought the only thing sinking faster than a lead balloon was the public's confidence in the National Health Service, you clearly have not seen the latest economic data from the Treasury. We have just witnessed a moment of pure, unadulterated television gold. Rachel Reeves, our Chancellor of the Exchequer, was effectively dismantled on live air after her latest series of tax hikes were exposed not as growth drivers, but as a tactical nuclear strike on British enterprise. We are talking about a performance so disastrously out of touch that it makes a silent movie look like a high-octane thriller. The Iron Chancellor has officially been found to be made of rather rusty pig iron, and the business community is not just whispering their discontent, they are screaming it from the rooftops of every shuttered high street shop in the country. Quick favour, if you are loving this, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers haven't yet. It is free. It takes a second and means the world to us. Thanks if you did. Now back to the show. Let us set the stage because the numbers here are truly haunting. We are sitting in early 2026 and the United Kingdom has just been crowned with a title nobody wants, the worst investment levels in the entire G7. According to the latest figures, public and private investment stood at a miserable 18.6% of GDP in the quarter to September. To put that into perspective, we are trailing behind Italy, behind Canada, and we are practically in a different solar system compared to Japan, where investment is sitting at over 27%. It is the economic equivalent of showing up to a Formula One race on a penny farthing and wondering why everyone else is moving faster. Rachel Reeves's plan was supposed to be about stability and investment, but instead she has created what business leaders are calling a hostile environment for anyone with a pound to spend. By hitting companies with a double whammy of increased employers' national insurance and a massive hike in the national living wage, she has essentially told the wealth creators of this country to pack their bags and head for the exit. It is like trying to make a plant grow by cutting off its roots and wondering why it is wilting. Business confidence hasn't just slipped, it has been shattered into a million tiny pieces, and the Chancellor is standing there with a glue stick wondering where it all went wrong. But the humiliation didn't stop with the data. It reached a fever pitch during a live broadcast that has left the Treasury in a state of absolute paralysis.
I've got the sticker in the window. I've joined, I think, about 1,000 other publicans up and down the country, barring Labour MPs. It's a protest movement. They are killing our trade. The Conservatives weren't very kind to us, but Labour seem intent on finishing off. The national insurance contributions hike was a disaster for us, the first budget. And now we're seeing business rates, mine are jumping by about 50% next year. It's the lies. They stand up in Parliament and say that they want to help hospitality. But we've seen hundreds of thousands of jobs lost from this trade, from this industry. And 2026 is going to be a very challenging year. I've had a great Christmas. I couldn't be happier. My customers, I've seen a beautiful Christmas in this pub. The tills have been ringing, but January and February are going to be very tough. And I just urge your viewers, please go and support your local pub. You know, we're not some sort of millionaires. We're not these big entrepreneurs that are throwing our money around with Rolls Royces. We're local businessmen, and our pubs are the heart of the local community.
Picture the scene. The red lights are on, the cameras are rolling, and the news host is reading out the More in Common polling data, which shows that 6 out of 10 Britons expect the country to enter a recession this year. The Chancellor tried to pivot to her usual talking points about the Tory black hole, but the host wasn't having any of it. They pointed out that after nearly 2 years in power, the black hole excuse is starting to sound like a scratch record playing in an empty room. When confronted with the fact that investment is at a G7 low, Reeves looked less like a financial mastermind and more like a deer caught in the headlights of a very large, very angry lorry. The most damning part of the exchange came when the host quoted an anonymous Labour MP, yes, one of her own, who warned that the government is ignoring the small and medium-sized businesses who keep the country going. This MP basically admitted that the government has reached a point where they cannot tax anybody anymore, but cannot borrow anymore. We are quite literally at the mercy of our creditors. It was a moment of total transparency that exposed the reality of Labour's economic stewardship. They are running out of other people's money, and the people they've been borrowing from are starting to check their watches. This raises a massive question for the British public. If the government has shattered business confidence, what does the future actually look like for the average worker? The Shadow Secretary for Business, Andrew Griffith, hit the nail on the head when he described Reeves' actions as economic incompetence. He argued that by sending business costs soaring, she is making Britain less competitive, which inevitably leads to lower growth and higher unemployment. It is a simple equation. If it costs more to employ someone and more to invest in machinery, businesses will simply stop doing both. The Federation of Small Businesses has weighed in too, stating that the sentiment among their members is closer to dismay than confidence. When the people who run our local cafes, construction firms and tech startups are in a state of dismay, the entire economy starts to seize up. And then we have Reform UK's Richard Tice, who has been absolutely clinical in his critique. He argues that the Labour government is ideologically opposed to any semblance of wealth creation. He paints a picture of a suffocating layer of red tape and punishing tax hikes that act as a repellent for international investors. Tice's message is clear. Investors are taking their money elsewhere, to the US, to Europe, anywhere but a Britain, presided over by what he calls a hostile administration. It is a suspenseful moment for the UK economy. We are watching a slow-motion car crash where the driver is convinced they are on the right path, while the GPS is screaming, "Recession ahead."
Unfortunately, I know a few that are giving up January, February. You know, they're seeing in the new year and they've had enough. Publicans that have been doing this decades and are far better publicans than me, Martin. You know, these are the cream of the crop and they've had enough. It's just not worth doing it anymore. And they firmly put that at the door of Rachel Reeves. Her two budgets have absolutely killed us. She's added about 35 to 40,000 in extra costs to my pub. It's a small backstreet pub. You've been here. You know, it's not some big high road establishment. This is a small backstreet pub. How can people survive? I'm on WhatsApp groups of restaurateurs, publicans, cafe owners, and they are just pulling their hair out. And it is all down to this government the last 18 months. As I say, the Conservatives were bad, but this lot are, it looks intentional. It looks like they're trying to destroy the pub trade.
As we move deeper into 2026, the rhetoric from Number 10 is starting to sound increasingly desperate, like a captain insisting the ship is fine while the band plays Nearer My God to Thee. The government's response to this humiliation has been to retreat into a fortress of jargon. A spokesperson claimed they are investing in the economic future with over £120 billion in capital investment. 3, they talk about the National Wealth Fund and leveraging private investment. But as any business owner will tell you, a government press release doesn't pay the national insurance bill at the end of the month. The Treasury is trying to double down, but the public sees a Chancellor who has flip-flopped on everything from the 2-child benefit cap to energy standing charges. The humiliation of Rachel Reeves on live television was the moment the Iron Chancellor narrative finally died. You cannot destroy the confidence of the people who create the jobs and then act surprised when the economy stops growing. Britain is now the laggard of the G7, a country where 6 out of 10 people are waiting for the recessionary axe to fall. The hostile environment for investors is now a reality, and unless there is a radical shift in direction, 2026 is going to be a very long, very cold year for British business. The British Report will be here to keep a close eye on the fallout, because the only thing growing under this government seems to be the level of public regret. Thank you for watching.